Benin's president-elect now wants presidents limited to just one term in office. Egypt army kills dozens of militants in Sinai operation. And report raises the alarm of a large number of Tunisians joining the so-called Islamic State group. You're watching Africa Live. Thank you for joining us. I am Penina Karibe. Also coming up, fears that Ebola flare-up in Guinea could spiral. And Kenyans Perez Jepchirchir and Geoffrey Kamwororo take gold at the Welsh Half Marathon. Benin's newly elected President Patrice Talon plans to reduce presidential mandates to just one 5-year term. Talon took 65.4% of the vote in last Sunday's runoff poll to decide who would replace President Thomas Boni Yaye. Benin presidents can currently serve 2 5-year terms. The peaceful election was seen as reinforcing the democratic credentials of Benin, a bastion of stability in a region where elections are often marred by violence. By relinquishing power after serving 2 terms in office, Boni Yaye stands in contrast to leaders in other African nations who have altered their constitutions to extend their rule. Talon said his government will be made up of 16 members, down from the 28 members of the outgoing government.
Je voudrais confesser d'ores et déjà.
I would like to profess from now on a regional balance, gender parity. Satisfying partisan political interests will not be my priority for now.
To North Africa now, where Egyptian prosecutors have called for the detention of 4 people linked to the murder of Italian student Giulio Regeni. The 4 are said to be relatives of the leader of a criminal gang suspected to be behind Regeni's killing. This follows an investigation that led to the finding of a bag containing Regeni's passport and student card at the house of the gang leader's sister. The gang leader's wife, brother, sister and brother-in-law are now in holding and are being accused of concealing a criminal and hiding stolen goods. The body of the 28-year-old Italian student was found at the side of a motorway on the outskirts of Cairo in February. And still in Egypt, the army there says it has killed 60 Islamic militants in northern Sinai, where armed forces have been battling fighters affiliated with the ISIL group for 2 years. The army spokesperson said their anti-terrorism forces, backed by fighter jets, targeted terrorist hideouts, killing 60 militants and injuring 40 others, adding that 27 4x4 trucks and 32 weapon depots were destroyed. The renewed offensive comes days after 15 policemen were killed in the same region, where militants attacked a checkpoint using mortars. Algeria's security forces killed 3 Islamist militants close to the town where police shot dead a would-be suicide bomber earlier in the week. The 3 were killed in a military ambush after an army sweep of part of the mountainous region east of the capital, Algiers. Algerian security forces on Wednesday also shot dead a militant wearing a suicide bomb belt before he could detonate his explosives near the police station in Markaz. Al-Qaeda, the Islamic Maghreb and small bands of fighters allied to Islamic State have been active in remote parts. The mountains around Tizi Ouzou, east of Algiers, were formerly a stronghold for commanders of Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb and previous Islamist militant groups during the 1990s. Tunisians formed the largest number of foreign fighters traveling to join ISIL in Syria and Iraq, with 6,000 of them answering ISIL's recruitment call since 2011. That's according to security consultancy, the Sufan Group, and most of them are from 3 recruiting hotbeds in the North African country. Our UN correspondent Liling Tan has the details.
Over the last 5 years, as many as 31,000 people from at least 86 countries have traveled to Syria and Iraq to join ISIL, despite efforts to contain the numbers, according to a report by New York-based security intelligence firm, the Sufan Group. Now, of that total figure, Tunisians formed the largest group of foreign fighters. The report found that 6,000 Tunisians, including 700 women, answered ISIL's call in the past 5 years. That's 1 in 5 of all ISIL foreign fighters. And more than a third of these Tunisian fighters are from 3 main ISIL recruiting hubs: Ben Gadan, Bizerte and Tunis, according to the report. Now, Ben Gadan in the south and Bizerte in the north have a long history of producing foreign fighters, and the country's capital, Tunis, has increasingly become a hot spot for recruitment, despite being the cradle of the Arab Spring. Now, this report also warned that returning foreign fighters pose a particular threat to stability in these home countries, especially for fragile states like Tunisia. It also noted that the majority of foreign fighters are from Arab countries within both the Middle East and the Maghreb region in North Africa. Now, as of last October, Morocco's official estimate was 1,200, but the number is believed to be higher. There are also an estimated 170 Algerian and 600 Libyan foreign fighters, but these figures were based on limited data. And given ISIL's growing presence in Libya, it seems to have become more of a destination for foreign fighters instead of a departure point. It's also been a transit hub for those traveling to and from Syria and Iraq. Now, for countries within the Horn of Africa, there was limited data, but there have been reports as well of dozens of Somalians, Sudanese and Eritreans engaged in Syria. Li Ling Tan, CCTV, New York.
Cameroonian authorities are still investigating the claim of a suspected female suicide bomber intercepted in the northern part of that country that she is one of the schoolgirls kidnapped by Islamist militant sect Boko Haram in the town of Chibok in Nigeria's northeast Borno state in 2014. The girl, along with another suspected female suicide bomber, was intercepted Friday before she could detonate the explosive she was carrying. CCTV's Deji Badmas in Lagos has more of that.
There's been no further word from Cameroonian authorities if indeed the girl's claim to be one of the missing Chibok school girls is true. Authorities there had asked for days to verify and establish if the claim is correct. On the Nigerian side too, there's been no word from either the military or the government on the issue, but people here are eagerly waiting for a confirmation. And if the girl's claim turned out to be true, it would confirm a long-held fear by many that Boko Haram may have been using some of the Chibok school girls as suicide bombers. The use of female suicide bombers became popular with the sect since early last year, and we have seen cases where girls as young as 10 were used as suicide bombers. Boko Haram kidnapped the Chibok school girls in their dormitory in April 2014 as they prepared for their final examination. The abduction sparked a global rescue operation which failed to find the girls. Now, while some of the girls escaped from captivity, 219 of them are still missing. And recent efforts by the Nigerian military to find and rescue the girls have so far not yielded any positive result. Should this 15-year-old suspected female suicide bomber's claim turn out to be true, perhaps it would provide the military with the lead they need to find and rescue the remaining missing schoolgirls. Deji Badmos, CCTV, Lagos.
Let's take a quick break. Straight ahead. Fears that Ebola flare-up in Guinea could spiral. Days after 5 people died in an Ebola flare-up in Guinea, residents of the capital Conakry are worried of a fresh outbreak. Guinea is on the road to recovery following the devastating effects of the virus. And just when many in the West African country thought they could be getting back to normal ways of doing things again, a flare-up in the south of the country is worrying to some residents. The government says at least 800 contacts have been identified and are being monitored following the deaths of 5 people in a village 1,000 kilometers from the capital. Korapara, where the flare-up was recorded, had 24 infections in the initial outbreak with 15 deaths. The World Health Organization says the flare-up should be expected and countries hit by the epidemic need to maintain capacity to prevent, detect and respond to further outbreaks.
Oui, je pense que l'Ebola a été géré.
I think the government did an okay job in handling the outbreak, especially since they had to source for funding and at the same time to help fight the disease. I'm worried though about the new cases because this could imply that we might live in constant threat of another outbreak. Fighting an epidemic isn't easy, especially in a country like Guinea, but we must also be very vigilant and not forget to keep on with the measures we had during the outbreak.
In Paris, some of the world's brightest scientific minds have been lauded for their groundbreaking research. 5 women from around the world, singled out for the L'Oreal UNESCO Women in Science Awards, hailed for the individual contributions to medicine, agriculture and the environment. Among their number, South Africa's Qureisha Abdul Karim. As Richard Bestick reports from Paris, her work on HIV/AIDS ultimately led to the revolutionary development of a life-saving anti-HIV gel for women.
Tributes to scientific achievement. The work on HIV/AIDS by South Africa's Qureisha Abdul Karim makes her an extraordinary lifesaver and this year a laureate of the world science community. Taking her place in a pantheon of acclaimed women scientists at the L'Oreal UNESCO Awards, a moment of pride.
It's a real privilege and an honor to be part of this group of eminent scientists. I'd like to think that I'm making a contribution in the lives of adolescent girls and young women through developing technologies that empower them.
Karim is based in South Africa's Durban tourist haven, where the sun rarely stops shining on its famous golden beaches. The professor's chosen path a little darker, the female-focused prevention of HIV and AIDS. At the height of the AIDS epidemic in 2002, she co-founded the Centre for the AIDS Programme of Research in South Africa, CAPRISA. 8 years later, at Durban's KwaZulu-Natal University, she confounded doubters with an anti-HIV gel and is now targeting HIV with revolutionary antibodies developed in her lab.
What's exciting about the broadly neutralizing antibody work, passive immunity as it's also referred to, is that if we can show protection through this mechanism, we are a step closer to a vaccine. So right now we have sufficient tools for epidemic control, but to eradicate, to end AIDS, we will need a vaccine and a cure.
Karim was judged by a jury of her scientific peers, who found her work to be world-class.
Each of the laureates has an incredible story like that. It's very important to make visible evidence that women do superb science as well, so that at some point we won't think that this is unusual.
For nearly 2 decades now, women from around the world have been hailed here in Paris for their contribution to life-saving science. And in the process, according to the organisers of the awards, thousands of young girls have followed in the footsteps of their heroines, choosing a lifetime in science. Richard Bestick, CCTV, Paris.
On to South Africa now. A community upliftment organization in Johannesburg, Seeds of Africa, has to date managed to provide support to over 20 creches across 7 informal settlements with infrastructure and skills development. Founders of the organization believe that government cannot work alone in helping everyone, hence their intervention. CCTV's Elisa Njamela has the story.
It's a community enhancement and development program. Seeds of Africa mainly focuses on enterprise and early childhood development in previously disadvantaged and some of the poorest communities in South Africa. It's in areas such as these that the program has been effective.
We've got 22 creches under our umbrella, which is part of our Adopt a Creche program. We've got about 850 little kiddies that we help. We mainly focus on the curriculum side of things, so the educating the children, providing stationery, reading materials, mobile libraries, that type of thing. We also do quite a bit of infrastructure upgrades in these informal settlements.
This sprawling township is a congregation of wooden and corrugated iron shacks. The majority of parents from here send their children to a creche from an early age to allow them to return to work as soon as possible. But often, there are no creches nearby their homes. It is estimated that around 2/3 of South African children don't have access to quality out-of-home facilities.
You know, seeing the results, the schools come to life, the teachers come to life, we upskill the teachers, it filters down to the children, it impacts their lives, and you can't help but feel it.
Helping communities to help themselves, Seeds of Africa has made a world of difference to many in this community.
We used to cover the outside area with big plastics just to be able to help kids from the neighborhood. Kids had nowhere to go, and we just used to keep them inside for safety, but now they can even learn and develop. I am very happy because Seeds of Africa opened a way for us, and now other organizations are coming around to provide us with more assistance. Seeds of Africa believes that investing in children is a sure way of creating leaders for the future. Yolisa Njamela, CCTV, Johannesburg.
Let's now move to Madagascar, where following a government ban on plastic bags, new innovations are starting to sprout. One Malagasy company is now looking into making ordinary grocery bags, but from cassava plant. CCTV's Leslie Mirungu with more.
At first glance, they look like ordinary plastic bags, but they're actually made from cassava. According to the manufacturers, this bag would need just only 3 to 6 months to decompose instead of 100 years for their plastic equivalents. And however much making them might be expensive, it comes at the comparative cost of having to deal with pollution from plastic bags.
It's true that these cassava starch bags are more expensive in comparison to plastic bags, but using them helps protect the environment.
Since October last year, the Malagasy government partially prohibited the sale of plastic bags because of the environmental damage they cause. With this ban, the manufacturer of cassava starch bags hopes to see an increase in orders from countries borrowing from the same ban of plastic bags.
For now, Gassiplast is based in Madagascar, in the local market. But soon enough, we will start exporting to Mauritius, to South Africa, and many countries in Africa that have stopped using plastic bags. There is also a market in Asia because it's also started to ban plastic bags.
In 2015, the company claims to have produced 40 tons of these cassava bags. It hopes to see an increase in production to 360 tons in 2016 and see its innovative product cross borders and continents. Leslie Mirungu, CCTV.
And ahead in sports news, Kenyans Perez Jepchirchir and Geoffrey Kamworor take gold at the Welsh Half Marathon. Kenyan Geoffrey Kamworor won the Men's World Half Marathon Championship in Cardiff in style in 59 minutes and 10 seconds as he beat compatriot Bernard Karoki Mushiri in Cardiff on Saturday. Double Olympic and world champion Mo Farah could match the prowess of the Kenyans in the race and emerged third. The Kenyans had been preparing to outdo him, and reigning champion Kamworor had even talked about using this race as a platform to challenge the world record of 58 minutes 23 seconds if the conditions on the race day favored him. The women's race was won by Kenyan Perez Jepchirchir in 1 hour 7 minutes and 31 seconds, leading compatriots Cynthia Cherotich Limo and Mary Wachira Ngugi to a 1-2-3 podium finish. Uganda remains on course for a place in next year's Africa Cup of Nations, and they'll be looking to maintain the 100% qualifying record this Saturday. The Cranes, who top Group D, traveled to Ouagadougou to play 2013 finalists Burkina Faso. Leon Senyange reports.
With 2 wins out of 2 matches, Milutin Sredojevic and his team couldn't have asked for a better start to the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations bid. The Cranes now hit the training field with an even bigger task ahead. Uganda will play 2013 AFCON finalists Burkina Faso twice in 4 days.
Expectations are high, and it's up to us, the players. We need to concentrate, be focused, and I know we shall make it in Burkina Faso because we know what's on the table, and we know what's good for the players and us in general. So we need to work hard as a team, and we know we shall get results in Burkina Faso.
While they hope to continue their winning streak, the team is all too aware of the challenge the Burkinabe will present. Only 3 points separate the two sides, and Sredojevic knows just how quickly the tables could turn in a qualifier.
We are looking for those 4 matches to get 7 points that will take us to Africa Cup of Nations. As I have told, the best is if whatever we can get in this double header. Our strategical intention is to lead the group after those matches, and we want to do anything possible that to happen.
While the Cranes have their eyes set on the trip to West Africa, their travel arrangements could hamper their performance in Tuesday's fixture. The team is expected back in the capital Kampala 30 hours before kick-off.
Totally abnormal situation because the opponent is coming almost 1.5 days before us, and this is huge advantage. Whoever knows and understands what is meaning sitting in the plane, what is meaning flying in the air, and then landing and coming back and acclimatizing and whatever, knows that opponent has an unbelievable huge advantage.
The Cranes' travel arrangements are a major concern for the head coach Sredojevic, but he is optimistic that if his side can remain unbeaten over the next 2 games, the Cranes could then just be a few more steps from making their first Africa Cup of Nations appearance in more than 3 decades. Leon Sanyange, CCTV, Kampala.
The 35th African Clubs Volleyball Championship began in Egypt. It's a top competition in the sport across Africa. Egyptian volleyball experts say this year is special. The championship includes the biggest number of clubs since its establishment. Here's Adel Mahri with more.
Egypt welcomed the African clubs with an artistic opening. Many here say it's the most exciting year for the continent's volleyball.
It's a big championship. It's become the biggest African clubs championship in the history of all 35 previous championships. 18 or 19 countries are here from Africa's 54, and that's a huge number. It's a great success for Egypt.
The Egyptian Volleyball Federation says 30 clubs wanted to join this year, but because of the facilities limitation, they had to stick with 24. This excitement, however, was limited within the walls of this court. Volleyball fans were not allowed to attend the games, part of a national ban for club fans in Egypt.
I am very satisfied with the situation. We have achieved a precious goal to host this competition. We don't want to disturb the country. We are focusing on playing. Let us bear this step until Egypt stabilizes its security. Then we'll allow all fans. So we are helping the country as it's helping us.
That's the 35th African Clubs Volleyball Championship. Since its establishment in 1980, North Africa's Egypt, Tunisia and Algeria won all titles. Egyptian Red Devils Al Ahly has the continent's record with 11 titles. Tunisia's Safakis comes second with just 6.
That's the first serve in a whole week of an exciting volleyball championship, the most heated competition in the African continent, the African Clubs Championships. And everyone is watching closely to know who will earn the title of the continent's champions. But unfortunately, that's happening without audience. Adel Mahri, CCTV, Cairo.
The West Indies booked their place in the semi-finals of the World 2020 Cricket Tournament after beating South Africa by 3 wickets in Nagpur, India on Friday. Marlon Samuels hit 43 of 44 balls and led West Indies to 123 for 7 in 19.4 overs after South Africa struggled in a slow wicket and limped to 122-8 with Quinton de Kock scoring a fighting 47 of 46 balls. The third successive chase after winning the toss put West Indies on 6 points with Afghanistan to come on Sunday. South Africa will be eliminated if England, who already have 4 points, beat defending champions Sri Lanka on Saturday. England take on Germany in a friendly match on Saturday, with both teams using the encounter to gauge their progress in preparations for this summer's European Championship in France. With captain Wayne Rooney absent with injury, manager Roy Hodgson has handed the skipper's armband to Chelsea defender Gary Cahill. Cahill led the side in England's 2016 Euro 2016 qualifier at home to Estonia last October. Hodgson is expected to pick an experimental side for the match, with Tottenham Hotspur fullback Danny Rose and Leicester City midfielder Danny Drinkwater likely to earn their first caps either from the start or from the substitutes bench. England will next meet the Netherlands at Wembley on Tuesday. Novak Djokovic sailed through with a straight set win on Friday night, beating unseeded Brit Kyle Edmund 6-3, 6-3 to advance to a third-round meeting with Portugal's Joao Sousa. Djokovic progressed as third-seeded Roger Federer was forced to withdraw due to illness. The Swiss, who was targeting a return to tournament action after missing nearly 2 months due to knee surgery, had to pull out due to stomach flu. Early in the day, 8-seed Spaniard David Ferrer got past unseeded American Taylor Fritz 7-6, 6-1, while 14-seeded Austrian Dominic Thiem ousted Australian Samuel Groth 7-5, 6-2.
I woke up and I don't exactly remember what happened, but I think I was going to run the bath for the girls, and I made a very simple movement, turned back, heard a click in my knee, went to the zoo, and my leg was swollen, and I came back and had an MRI done in Switzerland. Then saw the doctor right after the MRI, and he said I had to have surgery on Tuesday. So I did that in Switzerland, and here I am 7 weeks and a few days later. So I'm very happy how it went, but clearly I was very sad when I did get the news that I did have to have an operation, because I thought I was going to get through my career without. So it hit me with a big shock, and it was disappointing when I got the news.
And that's it for now. We invite your feedback. Send it to africalive@cctv.com. Stay in touch with us on Twitter using the handle @CCTV News Africa. You can also check us out on Facebook. Our page is CCTV Africa. I'm Penina Karibe. Thanks for watching.